Good afternoon, everyone. It's Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple, and welcome to this week's Nadex Weekly Market Analysis. It is June 29th, 2021. I can't believe we are at the end of June. Half the year is done. Unbelievable. I feel like, I don't know, it's been crazy. It's been a year we've been locked in our homes, and it's kind of like, everyone's like, oh, 2021 will be the good year, the next year. And we're already like halfway through it. It's unbelievable how fast time is flying these days. Um, Hope everybody is staying, and I will say cool out there. I know sometimes I say staying warm, but now we have officially rotated into. I hope everybody is staying cool. We have crazy heat all over the place. We have cancellations here. I know my in-laws right now are they're from British Vancouver, British Columbia, Vancouver. They don't have air conditioning up there. I didn't know that, and they're sitting there with a fan and some ice cubes today because it's like 111 degrees. So they're not happy. So hopefully everybody's staying cool. You guys are watching your charts, making some good trades today. Let's just go ahead and jump into things right off the bat. A bunch to cover today inside of the markets. So, for those of you that don't know me, a lot of you do at this point, but for those of you that are logging in for the first time, I run a company called Keep Trading Simple. My goal is really to kind of remove a lot of the distractions that we see in the market and make things not easy, not necessarily, I guess easier is the wrong word, but I want to make things simpler for you to do your analysis and your trades. That kind of remove that as an obstacle of your trading. I've been working with Nadex now for about three to 4 years. I've done different sessions, and I love this breakdown. The reason why is because we can spend more time dive into charts, and there's some discussion. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to type it in the chat. I have some helpers there that will help answer it, and a lot of times if I see it pop up, I get a little like kind of icon that tells me that there was a question or a comment or a hand raised. A lot of times I'll do my best and I'll see if I can answer the question right away. If it is like a Nadex specific charting thing, though, again, just shoot that to support, and they will be able to help you over there. I've been trading since about 2000. I hate to say that because now it's 2021. It's been 20 years. It seems like a really really long time, especially for someone that is as young as me. No, I'm actually very old. When I say old, it's 45. I feel old, right, when I wake up. But I've seen I started off much like most people did. Self-taught trader for the most part. Took classes here and there, attended seminars, learned a lot of the wrong ways to do things out there before I found my own way. And I try to pass my mistakes on to you guys so you don't make the same ones. Being a parent, it's one of the things we always tell our kids. Listen, I want you to learn from my mistakes, and I try to carry that over into this realm as well. If I can keep you guys from making the same stupid mistakes that I made when I was first starting off, hey, then I'm doing my job. I feel like I've done right by everyone out there. I have created a number of different strategies. A lot of them are again, they can be used within Nadex. There are some that are Nadex specific as well. I also do a weekly newsletter that actually we gave out a month subscription to it for our last education summit. If you guys like those type of things, giveaways and things like that, please let us know. We always want to make sure we add as much kind of value to these as possible. I was actually very happy to give it away. It's a subscription, and I actually gave it away because, I feel like I can give you the analysis, but when you guys can, I'm not there every single day with you guys. I just can't be. If you can take some of what I'm doing on a daily basis and what I'm looking at for my week, I feel like it's the least I can do to be able to have the opportunity to help you guys advance in your own trading journey. I did work for one of the big three advisory banks. I figured the next step for my personal evolution was to go inside and see what they were doing there. It was absolutely 100% not what I thought it was going to be. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're a financial advisor. They must know everything about the markets." And there was zero. I actually knew more about markets and trading and things like that than anybody in my training class, as well as some of the most tenured advisors in my office. It was crazy. Um, I did learn a lot about bonds, though, so it was one of those things that I'm very, very thankful for. It was a great learning experience, but I realized very, very fast that I could do more good outside of that arena. And now I basically just spend my time teaching people how to trade the markets, regardless of what it is, whether it be for income or for wealth. I am a father, and I actually these are this I got to update this picture. Jen, the little one, is only one there now. She is now three, and I have another little boy on the way due in October. And the twins are both 11. So the one on the left has hair down past his shoulders. The other one went short again. But again, it keeps me quite busy. So you'll hear me today say things like set an alert. I use alerts very frequently. If you guys do not know how to set alerts, there's a number of different ways, both internally at Nadex as well as you could use external resources like IG.us. IG obviously they have a forex division as well in the United States. Great online charting platform that you can set alerts that, again, if you have it on your phone, it will actually update your phone, which is kind of a cool little function. So, again, I'm all about using technology to put less screen time in. And that's just, how I roll. With that said, let's go into the disclaimer. If we're going to talk about charts and risk and things like that, we obviously have to talk about this. Everybody knows this, but they want to make sure that we get it out there that trading on Nadex involves risk and may not be appropriate for all. Members risk losing the cost at the end of their transaction, including fees. Now, you should carefully consider whether trading on Nadex is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions that you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results, and none of the material presented herein is to be construed as a solicitation, recommendation, or offer to buy or sell any financial instrument on Nadex or elsewhere. Now, Nadex is subject to U.S. regulatory oversight by the CFTC, and Nadex is a registered trademark of the IG Group. There was actually big news today. If you guys didn't see it, the partnership between IG and Tasty Trade is now complete. Again, just furthering their benefits to traders out there. Okay, so with that said, I actually see there is a question. Let's see. It's just a good morning. Good morning to you too, sir. Actually, I think it's sir. It says J. Jay, I'm going to say sir, but it could be ma'am as well. But good morning. So this is what we're going to cover today. First things first, we're going to cover the upcoming news events. I touch on this every week, and I tell people, and then I'll get like somebody to message like, how did you know? Like, I don't. I'll tell you guys right now. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't have a little genie in my desk. I'm not rubbing the thing, being like, oh, come on, go up. I don't have one of those things. But one thing that I do know is news trading is absolutely amazing. If you guys are not looking at news trading as a viable kind of trading strategy, you're doing it wrong. News provides great catalyst. It doesn't change the direction of the market, in my opinion, but it does provide a catalyst to get there quicker than what it would have had there been no news. And the nicest thing about it is we know weeks and months and even years in advance of when the news releases are going to be. So it's very, very easy to plan. If you're busy like me, like I said, two boys in sports, a 3-year-old that's running around, I got a lot of stuff going on. It's nice to know when I need to be in front of the computer, and I can schedule and use time management to kind of figure that out as well. So definitely something I recommend that everybody do. And again, news trading is just one of those things. It's so much fun. It's great. I mean, you don't have to be an economist. You don't have to know what these news releases are, but we're going to cover them because, again, a lot of the movement comes right off those news releases. Now, we'll break down today the indices. We'll cover Forex, and we will cover commodities. Now, there are obviously more commodities out there. We're not going to do all of them. We're just going to focus on the big ones over at Nadex. And they do more than just these three, but we'll cover gold, silver, and oil. We can mention natural gas. I mean, earlier today it was up like 3.5%. It's been quite a mover, and a lot of the strategies that we talk about and we do with the Wednesday oil inventory report can absolutely, without a doubt, be done on Thursdays with the natural gas inventory report. So if you like those, again, broaden your horizons. Look into other things that you could potentially trade, right? I know people are like, I only trade one thing. It's like, that's great, right? And if that works for you, perfect. But I'm also a big believer is you don't know that you like something until you try it. Check out some other things out there. It's like, when you think about it, like I love oysters, right? I absolutely love oysters. I can tell kind of like, there's like the buttery and the salty and or I guess the brine, it's briny, not salty, even we all know it's salt. But you can tell where they're at, right? It's kind of like the first person ever. Like, who's the first guy? The only reason I ate it is because it was an option. But who was the first person to ever do that, right? Like, I'm gonna eat that. Like, come on. They tried something new, and then I tried it and I loved it. I got one of my sons. One of them tried it. They're twins. One of them tried it, loves them. The other one wouldn't try it. Has no idea what he's missing out on. So trading's the same way. So some of these commodities, something like natural gas, check it out. You guys may really, really like it. It may match your personality and style, but we'll go ahead and do the breakdown of at least those three, and maybe depending on the time. I don't know who that person is. Maybe depending on the time, we can cover natural gas as well. With that said, let's go over and jump into the news. All right, so let me make some changes here a little bit. Let me go ahead and take this off so we don't get bombarded. Whoops. Let me make sure that this is set for all. And there we go. All right, so I'm just going to click it for the week. It makes it easy. I can scroll down faster. As you guys know, there's many different websites out there. The two that I use, Forex Factory as well as Daily FX. I like this format because, again, with currencies trading, I'm predominantly a currency trader. I enjoy the scanner at the top in my face at all times. Daily Fix has some cool things, and there's some notifications there that I don't have over here. So again, you got to be familiar with both of them. Today was pretty interesting. We had a huge consumer confidence number, right? And again, you don't have to really know what consumer confidence is. You don't have to have a degree in economics and things like that. Just know that the market had prepared itself for a forecast of 118.9, and coming in at 127.3. That's definitely a catalyst to make some changes in the market. Now, other things that we could potentially trade. Tonight, we have this CNY manufacturing PMI. Now, PMI is one of those things, it's the Purchasing Managers Index. You may say CNY, that's China. What does China have to do with anything? And it's 9 p.m. at night. What are you expecting me to do here, Brian? Well, I'm expecting you to go in there and be prepared to trade the Aussie, probably the Aussie dollar, or maybe even the Aussie yen. When Chinese data is good, it tends to drag the Aussie with it. Now, at 9 p.m. at night, you guys know there typically is not many people out there trading, right? So it tends to be some good opportunity because there's less chance of market manipulation. Another reason why this is kind of important is because it's supposed to be lower. That's what the forecast is, but it's starting to get close to the 50 number. And you may say, what's going on with 50? Well, if you click on any of these things, whether it be here or daily effects, you can see that, above 50 indicates economic or industry expansion. Below that shows contraction. Well, what do you think the, say, Aussie, who, again, most of their natural resources get purchased by China, if manufacturing is shrinking in China, what do you think that's going to potentially do to the Aussie, right? Yeah. So again, it could provide some interesting opportunity for tonight. Now, tomorrow is a big day. We have CPI flash estimate year over year. Now, that's important because, again, everything right now is talking about recovery, inflation, what the expectation is. Right now, the forecast year, the year over year is 1.9. The mandate is typically around 2, right? So, again, we know what's happened in the last year, the pandemic, recovery, all those things. So, inflation around 2 is really not bad considering what we went through. And it is a year over year number. So, again, is it going to have effect on gold? Maybe a little bit. And again, if this comes in lower than expected, that tends to be a little bit weaker for the euro. And above, if it comes in at like a 2.2, again, that should bring euro strength into the markets. Then at 8:15 tomorrow, we have kind of like boom, 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 right in a row again. 8:15, the ADP non-farm employment change. And last time, this was a big number. The forecast was supposed to be 645. You can see they're typically not too right on the forecast, right? They tend to be off a little bit, right? They're expecting it again. Last time was the 978. The forecast is 555. So there's a little bit of a difference there. And again, this could really change really how the indices are going to move for the day, but more so how the media is going to talk about it, right? Because it's the first employment change number that we're going to see for the week. Now, 8:30, right after that, we have CAD GDP, and look at this. It's expected to be down. This could be pretty detrimental for the pound over here, and again, or for the CAD. And we're seeing, the dollar CAD, we've had dollar strength today. This is rallying up, which is kind of great, right? This is awesome. This is going higher because, what if this number is not as bad as what they think? What if this number comes in at like a 0.2, right? That's not a huge change, but that's a big difference. That should bring big CAD strength in. And with the dollar CAD rising right now, there's an interesting trading opportunity for tomorrow morning in the dollar CAD. Now, Chicago PMI, important. Again, we talked about PMI. Now, this is supposed to be lower. Dropping 5 percentage points is a big deal. This one also has the 50 as the indicator for expansion or contraction. It's nowhere even close to 50, so we don't have to worry about. But again, it is somewhat of a gauge of inflation, and inflation is the hot button out these days. Everybody's talking about inflation. And then at 10:30, we have crude oil. Now, crude oil had a huge miss last time. It was supposed to be down. Actually, if you look at this, the last couple times haven't been too accurate, right? -3 came in as -5. -2 came in at -7. -3 came in at -7. So you can see there's been a huge down draw. And everything with going on in Iran, again, it's one of those other things we got to kind of keep a watch on. So could be a really, really great morning. If you guys have been following our morning sessions on YouTube, if you're missing out on those, shame on you. Those things have been great. If you don't know where those are, you don't have to sign up for them or anything. Go to YouTube, search Nadex, click on the channel, click follow, and then click the bell for notifications. Every morning we go live. We've been talking about the little big, right? It's kind of one of the strategies that I use for crude oil. And if you've heard me talk about the little big, yeah, it's been really, really fun. And again, crude oil is one of those things that, again, we talk about typically every Wednesday because of that. If we have a little scenario tomorrow, we could probably have an extra big with everything going on in Iran right now. So that's what we have for Wednesday. On Thursday, Thursday is a little bit different of a day, and this is why it's hard. One, we have OPEC. Okay. Now, again, I talked about how great crude oil is here. OPEC, there's a couple things going on. So, the United States last week, Biden said that, hey, basically, Iran got a new, basically, there was a new kind of seat of power coming into Iran, right? He said, hey, listen, we're definitely, the ballistic missiles is definitely off the table and remove the sanctions. So Biden removed the sanctions. And then, like 6 days later, we decided to attack militia, Iranian-backed militia in Iraq. Now, removing those sanctions would flood the market with more oil because then they would be able to add their oil to it. OPEC and this JBMC, this is the OPEC Plus, they were already talking about raising, and not necessarily raising, but reducing the oil cuts that they did last year because of COVID, which again would increase supply, more supply. Again, price tends to come down. That's supposed to be on Thursday, so that could be kind of a crazy one. But on top of that, we have the ECB president speaking. We have final manufacturing PMI, and again, not close, but should hold firm. And then we have Bailey speaking at 4 a.m. Manufacturing PMI, and then Bailey speaking again. So he's got a couple different talks. And then we have unemployment claims, right, which were also high last time. If you look at them, look at this. They keep saying, oh, it's low, low, low. 260, 270, 280, and it keeps coming in higher than expected. So that could be something that sets our market off, followed by ISM manufacturing. Now, ISM manufacturing is one of those things. This is typically associated with the Dow. So there's some great opportunity on Thursday for this PMI number, particularly because that's at 10 o'clock, which, as you guys know, popular reversal time, 10 and 10:30. That's typically when you get that morning rush and then it retraces. Okay, so again, that could be, and you wonder how often this one hits. Not much, right? And when I say hit, I mean that the forecast is matches the actual, right? So you can see it doesn't take much for this one to miss. So again, good potential on Thursday. Now, Friday is going to be I'm going to say it right now, it's going to be a very challenging session. The reason why it's going to be challenging is two things. One, it's non-farm payroll, the biggest news release that exists, right? Besides like them changing the interest rates, which is not something that happens every month. Non-farm employment change is considered, NFP is considered the biggest market news event. Now, this one's going to be crazy because check out this unemployment rate. It was supposed to be 5.7. They've reduced it to 5.6. So we're setting the bar high. The employment change is 700,000 new jobs. Hourly earnings are going up as well. All positive base. Now, it's challenging because, again, it's very, very positive, and there's been some misses, right? Here's your non-farm numbers. You can see they keep putting these big numbers up, and they're coming in much lower than expected. With that said, it is a holiday weekend, right? If you guys look at it, right, this is July 2nd. Okay, what's happening 2 days later? July 4th. Okay, July 4th happens to be on a Sunday. Do you think that there could be some people trying to leave and miss traffic a little bit early on Fridays? Yes. Okay, so it'll be a lower volume day than normal. And lower volume days typically, for lack of a better word, they can make the market a little wonky, right? So I would love to say we're going into 4th of July Independence Weekend with a feel-good Friday. But right now, and again, it's a couple days out, I don't know where the market's going to be then. I can tell you right now, with all these things being super, super positive, it may be a scenario where there's a bit of a disappointment and the market reacts and there's just not traders there. People are like, no, it's going to go high, all-time high all weekend. Yeah, it's great stuff, Independence Day, and it just starts getting short and goes down and we close in a red day. So it is absolutely possible. But again, we got to see as we get a little bit closer. So that's news, right? There's a lot of stuff going this week. Yeah, a lot of stuff. And even next week, I see things like this. I'm like, oh, this rate statement is going to be a great one next week, Monday night or Tuesday early morning. All kinds of stuff going on. All right. Now, looking at like kind of some of the hottest news, I would say kind of the biggest news right now to watch. Kashkari is really big into this. The U.S. economy remains in a very, very deep hole, but then says that, but we're going to have a significant recovery. I don't know that I would say that we're in a deep hole. I mean, unemployment is supposed to come down by 0.2%, down to 5.6. That's not horrible. Earnings are going higher. I don't know. I just don't see the same deep hole that he sees. But I agree that the recovery is going to be quite crazy. Let me see who else we got in here. Nothing crazy here. I expect certain prices to rise, diverse in some industries. Yeah, I got it. Digital recovery. Yeah, everybody. There'll be a digital. Every country will have a digital currency within the next 5 years. Not surprised with that one at all. Here's Cost Carry, and this is his like catchphrase now. Like how Arnold has the "I'll be back." Cash Curry is a deep hole. That's all he's going to talk about. Um, and that's it. I would say the only other thing to really kind of watch out for, and I don't see it. It must have gone too far down. Would be this news today that Australia is having an issue with the Delta variant. Um, this is not the first nation to bring up the Delta variant. The CDC, I saw a post on it, and I don't know. I didn't fact check it, so any of my fact checkers out there, go ahead and check it. The CDC, I guess, has changed their recommendations. It said because of the risk of the Delta variant, they're asking people that if you're in large areas with lots of people, even if you are vaccinated, to wear a mask again. I haven't seen like an official lockdown, but there are four of the major eight capital cities in Australia are now locked down. 10.2 million people are locked down in hopes to really kind of stop this fresh outbreak of the Delta variant. So we're not out of this yet. And the real thing is, I don't think there's. This is something we mentioned weeks ago. There's no such thing as COVID zero, just like there's no such thing as the flu zero, right? Um, it's just something that we got to kind of watch out for, and it's we got to kind of roll with it. We see. I mean, the nice thing is we're getting much more of a grip and much more a handle on it, um, which is always a good thing. But we'll see. Having large countries like this locked down again, it's kind of like, what would happen if we all of a sudden started getting some crazy Delta variants here, and all of a sudden New York kind of went into a situation where they were debating locking it down, right? I think that would really throw a monkey wrench into a lot of things. Um, yeah, be kind of crazy. I know as a parent, I wouldn't be looking forward to the homeschooling again. So yeah, we'll see. No way to know what's on that. All we can do is trade what we see. So all right, with that, let's go over and look at the overall markets. Now we're going to start with the indices. Um, Start over here. You guys should be able to see that. So occasionally I'm going to take small breaks. Um, the boys had a lacrosse tournament this weekend, and typically I'm hoarse for a day, but I've had like a sore throat for like 2 days now. I think I had a couple kids that were sick last week, and supposedly there's a normovirus, right? And there's just not COVID virus. There's actually other things that go around as well too. But like my neighbor has it, a couple kids on the team had it. I think those little Ebola monkeys gave it to me as well. Um, ugh, hurting, swallowing hurts a little bit. All right, so where the ES is right now, okay, we're in a good spot. We put some big numbers up here in this one. Last week we were talking about a bounce off this top level of 4260, pushing higher, and you can see there's been a couple other opportunities in here. This was a decent base and a nice little pop off of it. Typically we like to trade this one on a 15-minute. You can see it's the same thing. Here's that 8 o'clock time frame window, and again there was a decent level of basing right there. Right, number three kind of pushed us higher. Now we're rolling back again. I would say right now the ES really kind of falls back into the same thing. It's only up 0.11. I wouldn't say it's an absolute huge mover today. In fact, all the indices are, I mean, the NQ is showing me 0.09 and the YM is 0.21. Right now, they're not really sure where to go. Like I said, there's not really a lot of areas above that are, I would say, that are great for like shorting because we just don't know. The price has never been up here. We just kind of keep grinding higher. It's really all about where you get in. Now, this is going to have to be done on smaller time frames. As I said, is there going to be any trades today from that I'm going to be able to give you? Probably not. Can I give you an entry for tomorrow morning? Probably not, because again, I don't know where price is going to be in the next 20 hours from now. But the way to this one is going to be to look for these pullback areas. Look for nice pushes off again. Again, here's a decent base and a nice run up again. It didn't unfortunately make it back, but again, decent base. What I would do is best way to do this is going to be to check out when session breaks happen. When I say session breaks or session opens, the UK session would be a good one. So I mean, if you guys are up in the morning, you can look early morning, and say, hey, listen, what did the price do at the European session? Was it at a base? What was its reaction? And a lot of times we have a similar reaction to that when profit taking happens. Right now, I don't think there's any major reason to short this. Remember, the biggest risk for the market right now is not COVID. The biggest risk right now for the overall market is interest rates. Now that we are seeing some issues come up, right? That's even lack of a reason to accelerate right? That's a lack of a reason to accelerate raising the interest rates. So the biggest fear or the biggest kind of worry is the one that anytime we hear negative data now has less of a chance. So I think this one has the ability to go higher. As you can see, I mean, this one is just continuing to grind, continuing to grind, continuing to grind. And again, we're from here all the way up. There's some cool tools that you guys can use on an intraday basis as well. That kind of predict some of the extensions that can occur. But right now, what I would say is if you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to get up in, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you're going to start looking for entries for, yes, right now I would say, hey, listen, go look to see what happened at the open, see if you have very strong movement or some basing and some testing of some levels. That's where you need to be. I would say this week, personally, I'd probably remain long this week, heading into Friday, and I think Friday is probably again. I don't know what's going to do from now till then. I got 4 days, but I would say if this continues just to grind, 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 I would say that Friday would be most likely a profit taking slash red day. And then people are like, oh yeah, it was a red day, but we ended up for the week. That's still positive enough because they'll talk about that. Um, you know, uh, right now I would say probably, if anything, probably a bit of a pullback. But watch some of these levels. I think this was a decent pop. I mean, it pushed this level kind of low. But again, this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon up. So again, at one of those levels, maybe decent. This has been touched 3 times. Let's see, 7, 5, and 3. Hmm. There may be a few more sellers in there, but at this point, I think if anything, I'd be looking for a European session long off this one than anything else. It is what it is. We're gonna have to trying to think. Let me see. Tomorrow morning we should have some movement off it. It'll be pretty decent. Chicago PMI will make a difference on it as well. Yeah, I'd say look tomorrow. And again, um, I think the employment change, if this is a green number, I think that gives us all we need to kind of punch higher tomorrow as well. And I would say, obviously, the big psychological numbers you want to watch out for. Obviously, 3,400 is a big one, and then you have 34 right above it. But we got a ways to go for that one. That's way up here. But I think for this week, I think I would not be surprised if we end up tagging that 34 that 4,300 this week. It's just about finding the right entry, and right now it's only 15 points away, so it's not like it's an astronomical, huge push away anytime soon. Okay. NQ. Now NQ is also pushing higher, and you can see we had some sellers, and it pushed them away, and then it started the chop back and forth again. This one was a little bit harder to do, but again, it's the same type of scenario, right? We had a basing level here, touched here at 9 o'clock this morning, right? And then it's continued to run higher. So I mean, there would have been your entry. This is exactly what I'm talking about, right? We knew we had a test right here. Here's the European Open occurred here, drove it right into this level of basing and popped it. This is what you would have been looking for the next time it touched. And it was very fast. It dropped down and came right back up again, well over 1 to 3, and it's continuing to push higher. This is another one of those ones that, we're past the 14,500. I would say, 14,600's there. Can it reach it? Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's one day's worth of movement a bit higher. It's only about 70 more points, and it could absolutely do that this afternoon. I think this continues to go higher. I think really good data, bad data. I think the NQ has the power to go higher, and the reason why, it's pretty simple. I mean, the NQ is based off technology, right? If we start locking, services are always an issue, but most tech services now can be done remotely, right? We've gotten there. The more we rely upon technology and people are not going back, again, rely on technology. So I think really, the technology stocks are where it's at now. And again, it's kind of, it's interesting. We're seeing this continue to rise. It's up 0.15. It's not up huge, but it's been up since the U.S. Open today. We're seeing Apple up big, but Tesla's down 1.11, 1.11% for the day. So, even with Tesla down, this is driving. I mean, um, again, Tesla's dealing with some recall issues and things like that. But once those are clear, I don't see it. I mean, again, it's a nice little catalyst to drive higher. So look for 14,600 this week. YM. Okay. YM, as you can see, I mean, this was the analysis we had here last week. We talked about, again, this level got blown through. We never got a pullback to it. But again, here's the untested level, and you guys can see what it ran into at 9:15 this morning. Like I said, everything is just not always up. It's still technically up. It's up 0.21%, but it's like, hey, wait a second. We're down a bit, right? And again, looking for levels where they were tested. This was a European session open. It had been untested from last week. The 9:30 candle got front run, showing us that, again, there were sellers sitting at that level, right? They were sitting right there. You know how I know? Because if there were no sellers there, the price would have driven through this level, right? Think about it. If there's no one willing to sell, buyers like, hey, somebody sell it to me, and they got to keep making the price higher, higher, higher until the seller steps in. They stepped in very, very fast, and it gave us that kind of short trade this morning on a 15-minute. Remember, the indices we have to drop down to the 15-minute to find these levels. Everything else we can use 30s, but the indices, particularly to catch those morning moves, we got to stay on the lowest time frames. All right. And again, it's up the most today. And you look at these charts, it's funny. You look at this, you're like, wow, look up. Look at this. Wow, kind of pulled back a little bit. Man, it's up. You look at YM, who's up the most today, and you're like, oh, it's a little bit different of a picture, right? And again, it has to do with those spikes. Now, there's a few levels I could definitely stabilize with. We're getting close to one here down at 40. What is it? 34,200. I'd say that 34,150 is also another area. There's a couple of them down there. There's nothing super clean, but as always, it's 12:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. So again, this is one of those ones that you're really trading in the morning and you're out by 10:30, 11 o'clock, done for the day type scenario. There will be more movement at the end, and again, we'll kind of see where we're. I would say the next time I really kind of get in here is the 2 o'clock and see where we are end of day. There may be some, decent movement. All right. All right. Let's see. After that, let's go over to, I guess we'll go to Forex. Here's the Aussie dollar. Okay, so since this morning we kind of consolidate a little bit. We had this one little area of interest here, and it's spent a lot of time here. And you can see it base right above it, pulled down and hit it, and then use that as a short to go lower. Again, that typical Harry Potter pattern that we talked about. I will say, hold on one second, let me get some water. I will say, I got a question last week that cracked me up. And every so often I get one. I get emails pretty regularly from a lot of these sessions. I got a question about the Harry Potter trade, right? And it's always funny when someone's talking to me about it. They're like, well, I'm looking, I want to know more about this. I'm seeing it a lot now, but I want the rules and directions on it and things like that. And they're like, which class will I find it in? And I was like, in all honesty, I don't have it in a class. The only time I bring it up or the only time I talk about the strategy has been in these sessions. It's kind of like the for Nadex based strategy, but it's something that you see all the time. So it's always great. The longer you guys stay around, you guys will see there's so much that like is out there that I add into that I add into these sessions. This particular pattern and this kind of continuation, this momentum was always another class that I wanted to create. But it was something that I was like, you know what? I'm just doing so much for NAS. Let me put it in here and just give it out this way, and that seemed the best way to do it. So if you guys want the rules, you're going to have to go check out old sessions. Again, they're archived on YouTube, things like that. But again, this was a very simple continuation pattern, kind of breakout through the bottom, and it hasn't hit the profit target yet. It's down at 74.98. Really, that 75 number, it's a big psychological number. We really needed to push lower, and right now we're just kind of stuck in that consolidation phase. But I think there's a decent buy off of that. It held pretty well and hasn't been back to it yet. So um, 7,500. It's only 13 pips away. It looks like a lot on the chart, but it's really not that much. But remember, we're in kind of lunchtime right now. I'd expect another push down. And again, see some stabilization. Maybe take a little confirmation bounce off that one. But yeah, 7,500 is a good number. Unfortunately, below that, there's a couple small areas. I'd love to actually use that as a short because it has kind of pushed a little bit lower already, and it has hit two. We do have two touches on it. There is going to be a short here, but I'm just afraid that it's going to get a little bit choppy over here. So we may need some Australian news, and who knows? Maybe the Chinese news tonight is what the doctor ordered for this one to continue to push lower and give us that base. Now, Aussie dollar or Aussie yen is also in the same situation. You can see we had the basing level here, and we didn't have the pullback. You could have adjusted this one and actually taken. You can see we had originally a buy, we hit it again, and then all of a sudden that was it. It was too much. We didn't get the pullback, unfortunately. It broke through and it collapsed, but we just didn't get the pullback. We're not going to get all of them. It stinks, but again, it was in the other one. Right now, I would say kind of the things I'm looking at is I do like this 82.27 lower. Let me bring this back to a 30-minute. There you go. You guys can see it a little bit better there. The 82.27 I like. This is an area, and again, this area is actually it's coming off of here, and it's kind of I would say that it's a level to watch out for. Okay, it's not a level like this where I like the way that touched, I like the formation. It is a level. It has been tested, and it tested at a European session open, which I do like. Those are the best times to hit those. It's been touched once. I would love for this to hit when there's news or there's some type of a catalyst. My fear on this one is that it's going to come down and just start kind of grinding sideways through this level and eating the orders up. I believe there's some orders here. I just don't feel that there's a whole ton of them. And that's kind of what my fear is. If it comes down and just grinds, it's going to do one of these things where it spends hours there grinding up the orders, making this basically just taking them out slowly versus having it hit when a lot of volume comes in and immediately like, oh, there's people here, and then having it bounce off there. So I do think the 82.27 is decent. If we can coincide hitting this level with a, whether again it would be Chinese news tonight, or a European session open, I think either is decent. But right now it's kind of, I don't know, we're only about 25 pips away, so it's gonna have to kind of, I don't know, we're gonna need a little bit of help with this one. So again, if you're gonna be a little bit more risk averse, I think wait for the 82.27. Okay. Um, Euro pound. So these were levels from last week that we had talked about. You can see at this point, this Euro pound one is actually now hit a couple different times, right? Here's one at 7 o'clock. You can see here's the 10:30. There's your 10:30 reversal, right? A strong push up into a 30-minute level, which again was identified well in advance. And there you go, 10:30 straight back down again. I like this one. I do think there's going to be a reversal in this. We've had a lot of pound weakness overnight. It's due for profit taking. I like how we kind of have this level here where we have multiple touches off of it. And again, this was our old target last time, and we got kind of the entry here right down to the 85.27. That is only about 13 pips, so it's not a huge push down. For this next entry, like if we use this as our actual entry instead of the top side, I would probably bring us down probably a bit lower into here. And this time I would say if we have that same break, right, that same basing level of breaking over here at the 85.85, I think we drop it down to 85.65. Now, you may say that doesn't seem like a whole lot, and you're right, it's not. I mean, we're talking about what, 20 pips to the downside? It's not. It's not a huge mover. It is more of in a consolidated level. But is there things that you could take? Sure. I mean, binaries don't require massive amounts of movements when you time them correctly. Many different things we can do with it. So I think keep that on your radar. And again, remember, it's not the size here that matters. It's the position size that you're worried about the most. Again, you could have something. I mean, there are people that trade huge accounts with gigantic positions, and they're going for 5 pips. They're going for very small, pieces of, pip movements. Then there are the other people that are like, oh, I'm doing nothing but like 190 pip move. This was great. And they're taking like, micro trades. To each his own, it's really up to you and your individual, kind of style. Any shorts, though, I do think an area that we need to watch out for. I will put this down. I'll just copy this one. Take this down. There's profit target 1. Profit target 2 would be right there. Okay. Let's copy this one. Bring it right there. It's kind of giving you guys a couple of different profit targets to the downside. Reason why is I am still in the bullish camp. Even though this is pulling back again, overall, I am in the bullish camp for the pound, meaning that I expect Euro pound to continue to drop. Like I said, it is beat up a little bit, which, again, that's going to happen. There is also the Delta variant in the UK, and there's been talks about, locking down this sector or locking down that sector. But I do think, especially if we can get short 85.85, I do think these are potential, three targets to the downside that you could take advantage of. But remember, we're also talking about a compressed amount of space right now. So make sure that you're not getting, I hate to say this, right? But let's make sure you're not getting like super cheap, right? Trying to take an out of the money binary that just doesn't have much of a chance. That's so far away that it's, again, if you guys have not watched the presentation on ATR and understanding what can move, what the majority of moves in a day are going to look like. Again, one of the things about trading Nadex is you got to make sure you're, especially with binaries, you got to make sure we can have that much movement in the time till expiration, if that makes sense. Now, Euro yen. Euro yen, you can see it's grinding. Look at this. 1, 2, number 3, and number 4 was the breaker. It pulled back up and gave us that entry again. Continued to drive down, and we had that profit target down here at 131.38. You can see it hit it and took a bounce right at 10 o'clock. Again, 10 o'clock is the reversal time, but we had 1, 2, and this is hit number 3. Not expecting it to hold. If you are a channel person, if you like channels, I mean, we can really draw it probably higher than this, but you could say that there's the top of a channel, and you could say that there would be the bottom of a channel, right? People are going to be watching this one, so I would look for some basing on this level, look for this to continue lower. This may give us a little bit of a hiccup, but I would say overall, if we get a full retracement back down to kind of the bottom here, this is not a bad runner to the downside. It's about, here it's about 93. It's about 30 here and about 60. 70 right there. So I do think there's some potential in this one. Again, our profit target has now been hit, so I'm going to actually steal this and use it. Um, put it there. And again, this is not necessarily long. It's been here a few different times. It's been touched. It's already bounced off of it. So no longer a entry on the long side. Now it would be an entry for the short. All right. Let's take some of these off. I'll leave that one up top. This one we can. I'll just take it off for now, just to make it a little bit easier. But let's throw a short in here, so you guys can see what it looks like. There, and put it to right about there. You can see that well in advance here. This one may give us a little bit of a hiccup. It may come down in base here at like the 1 to 2. But again, depending on the time we break through, it can also help us kind of push through. It's 3 candles, so there should be some buyers left in there. This area, though, I'd be very cautious. I'd make sure that I'm out before this one. I like the formation of that one. So make sure that you are out by that level. Okay. All right, euro dollar. So euro dollar this morning, I talked about, again, seeing a reversal. This one came down to 9 o'clock when we talked, and we reversed back up again. We grabbed some of the orders here, and again, this one was pretty easy, and you can see it pulling back down. I would say, I mean, this would actually turn. I thought this would go just a little bit lower. It made sense here, but I was hoping that was just going to be kind of a news-based kind of spike. I was hoping we get lower. I was looking for 118.57, so I understand why it turned there. I was looking for lower. It is what it is, but again, there's your reversal. All this was is a European session reversal. European session started here, drove it down. This is called profit taking. This is the 10 o'clock reversal window. I just told you guys 10, 10:30. 10:30 was where it touched, and then reversed, and 11 o'clock is where we started to push back down. I would say today, the way that this looks, it looks like we're going to probably start to consolidate. It's down a little bit. I would say that that's probably with European traders out now. Remember, European traders got out in the last hour, and we're seeing dollar strength step back in again. It looks like that's going to be where we're going to probably move today. Um, eh, I would say it's probably not a big mover. If you can figure out where we're going to establish our trend for tomorrow morning, I think that'd be a decent runner for tomorrow, just with the news that we have. But today, I don't know that this one is going to be the best opportunity. And it's not really close. I mean, you can see that we are in the green area, but we really don't have a great green area until 118.06. That is currently right now about 100 pips away. It's 1.5 times its daily ATR. So, again, wouldn't be using this one. Do we short from there? You could, but unfortunately, there's not 1 to 3 left to that one. So it's kind of one of those ones that we may wait for it to come down. Maybe we do this. We extend this. Oops. I'll put it here. I'm going to need that again. Okay. We're not using that. We wait for the pull down. We wait for it to hit right in this level, which would be kind of the 4th hit. Then wait for the pullback. And then we wait for the drop down again. And your profit targets would be down here at 118.06. Okay. And again, that's about an 80 pip mover. So it's decent, right? It's a decent bit of movement. Okay. Pound yen. So pound yen, that's kind of the level we talked about earlier, right? This was a level we touched here. We based going through it. You expected it to fail next time, and it did. It came through and failed, and it became, again, what was the bottom became the top. And again, even if it didn't grab that one, it came back down, got it again, and went to the bottom of this one as well. And actually, this one should have been adjusted down to there. Right now, I would say that the thing that I'm looking at most on this one, although I'm definitely more in the bullish camp on this one. If this is able to come down, if we continue to see some pound weakness of this one, and again, if it is, it's going to be probably Delta variant kind of ish, as a catalyst. How much space do we have? That's probably decent. Yeah, it's about 50 here. Yeah, so I would say if we go short, I would say that we look for potential profit taking there, and there would be our two kind of areas. Let's change this to a dotted line, just so it's not totally confusing. Let's put this. We'll turn this red just to make it a little easier for you guys. And again, what we're looking for in this one is we're looking for price to come down. Again, it's already put and pushed by the very, very brink. We're looking for it to come down in with their base here, and then you take it short, or you wait for the break and the pull back up, and you look for 152.20 or 151.87 as your short targets to the downside. Dollar. So, had you attended our morning session yesterday, we talked about, we're looking for a base, kind of like what I just talked about. But in this one, I'm looking for the base, and you could take it of the break or the pullback. Here's the break. There's the pullback. Neither one of them really matters. This one dropped down about 50 pips in the morning trading hours at 10 o'clock, right? Here's your 10 o'clock window. There's your reversal at the 10 o'clock window. Okay. Now, we did mention earlier, and Todd let the secret out. I was going to make you guys hold on that one. There was a knockout down here. You can see from kind of the bottom when we talked, this one's up about 35. I think it comes higher. I mean, we know there's no sellers in this one, at least up until the 38.65 range. I would say a little bit higher, probably up here is what we're more looking to watch out for. Um, you know, 138.76 is probably we want to watch out for. As I said, that's the European session open. We know we had sellers, we had some basing in there, and again, this is about following the trend to the downside. If you get short from there, we could probably run it all the way back down to the 38, or the 38, probably 38.20-ish level. It would be about a 40, 50 pip drop to the downside. If we can make it up that high. Like I said, in the euro dollar, we saw the dollar strength coming back in again since the European market closed. In this one, we're seeing a little bit as well, but unfortunately, it's not turning in an area where we have buyers. They're just a bit higher. So I would say keep it on your radar. Let me see one second. Wednesday, it's European. I was trying to see if there's any hidden. Let me see if there's any hidden pound data tomorrow morning. Tuesday. GDP, business investment. No, not really. I was trying to see if there was some decent pound news, and unfortunately, there's not. My thinking with this one is if we could kind of cherry pick this one and take another short, or I'm sorry, take another long right there. This is kind of what I was thinking. If we could kind of mess around, right, the rest of the day, and if we could be down here, let's see this one. I'm going to move this and just kind of tell you my reasoning on this one. If we could take this one down, right, to here, that would be a decent level. 138 is going to be psychological. If that comes down and opens there, that would give us the opportunity to take advantage of a UK session. It's been pretty beat up. It's probably looking for some type of an area for the profit taking a reversal. That would be one that I'd be interested in. Currently, right now, it is about 40 pips. So it is definitely possible to hit that this afternoon slash tomorrow morning. One way you guys may want to play this one, and again, we know there's a knockout sitting down here. That's what the purple means. Um, we may want to look to see where we're sitting when Nadex reprints the contracts today at 6, right? Um, maybe there's a cheap call spread or something in there that we can take advantage of. Maybe something to the top side. Remember, a nice way to play this one. Again, we know there's a knockout there, so we may be able to get in. But again, there may be a binary that's just as cheap to the top side, waiting for a bit of a reversal in the pound because we know the euro pound is up at a level. Dollar is obviously hitting areas, so again, this one definitely has the potential to kind of give us a decent bounce to the top side. So just watch it. But again, there was our entry from this morning, and again, here's your pullback at 7 o'clock, and here is your reversal at 10, back to the top side, but not a huge mover at 10 o'clock. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, as you guys can see, is approaching a small level. This was a decent one. It was a one candle base top, very strong push down, impulse correction, huge impulse lower. It is back up in the pink area, so you guys know we are looking for more of a bearish mindset there. It has hit, and I will say this one though. This one I think is a little bit riskier to short because again we had a high, then a lower high, and then a lower high. So there are buyers building below this one, unfortunately. As much as I like the level, you can see it's been hit once, but there's a buyer here. They stabilized it. They purchased it again. This is where it gets more difficult. It's like, hey, listen, we're establishing a bottom, and they're going to break through this top. Now, you may say, okay, well, if we got buyers, is that a great time to go long? Where this one gets a little bit sketchy is this area. Here, I'll make it big so you guys can see it. Okay, current price is down here. If we break through this level, you guys can see all this drama sitting right in here, right? We had kind of a basing level there. We had a little bit of a basing right here, right below it, and then boom, it got pushed very, very fast. This is at 8:30 in the morning. This is a US push, right? So it was a European push down, profit taking between 6 and 8, and then a US session push. So it's kind of a level, and again, I'll just drag this one higher. These are kind of two warning levels that I'm watching out for. That both times we had session opens, they continue to drive this price back down again, and we're just above that. So, you may say, well, I should take that, right? Here's where it's hard. I like this level, but again, they're forming buyers trying to push it higher. If they do break through the top, we got sellers sitting right above. All right. So I would say right now, this one probably has an easier path down than it has up. And if you guys remember back to what we talked about, let's click off this, go across here. You can see that we have this number right here, the GDP month over month, and it's expected to be minus 8%. If you look at this one, you can see that last time they were off, right? It was better than expected, and now they're going like, whew, right off the deep end, right? Right off the deep end. And it looks like if you look at kind of the history here, they tend to be more pessimistic, right? So if we take that into consideration and this number is better, it should be stronger for the Canadian if it is a green number. Meaning, if this is even if it's zero point 0.5 minus zero point 0.5, that is better than what their forecast was. Should be positive for the CAD in general. When I say positive, bringing strength back in, which should be again sending this pair back to the downside. Question is, where are we going to be? Is it going to maintain here? Is it going to push higher? Is it going to go all the way up? That's 93 pips. It's not going up 93 pips. Something major would have to happen for this thing to go up 93 pips. Can it go up 38? Yeah, maybe. So there may be some opportunity to get short tomorrow, this pair, based off of that news. All right. But right now, with being later in the day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, again, the way it's, again, higher highs, higher lows. It's definitely in an uptrend. It's grinding through, and it's established buyers. I don't know that this is a short anymore. I'd be looking more for an entry short tomorrow. Okay, retrace some of what we saw. Now, dollar Swiss. Okay, so dollar Swiss early morning from yesterday, I guess, hit, dropped, and again, you saw the same thing. The 3 o'clock window kicks in right here. The trend was up. It pulled back at 5, came all the way up, and at 9:30, we reversed. And again, we were talking about that. Now, unfortunately, I said this morning, in the session, I told Todd, I'm like, I would say bearish, but I don't really have a decent entry. I don't have a great way to kind of establish a smaller level of risk here. It's a lot of wicks up, but we knew that we had sellers, right? We knew we had sellers stepping in this entire area here. When you bring it across, it ran exactly into that area. Sometimes these are things that like, hey, listen, I'd love to get short up here, but I got to get like a good level. I got to be able to give myself like a decent level of risk on this one. Unfortunately, we just didn't really get it. We had the poke up, the poke down again, another poke up, and then it just collapsed. So it's one of those things. Dollar Swiss is what it is. What it is. That was a hard. This was an easy one to grab. This was a little bit harder. I would say. I mean, the one thing. This one kind of has the same idea as well. I would say that you're probably in a bit of a channel. If you really wanted to just, you could say that. Here, let's change this up. We'll make this dark. So just so you guys can see it. You can see that that's 3 touches. There's kind of a channel there. Some of the channel people up here are going to say, okay, well, what about this one? Yeah, there's kind of one there as well too. Do I think it's going to launch itself all the way back up again? I think the reality more is probably we're going to have a little bit of a stall here with the dollar. And again, a lot of the other pairs we're seeing in areas where it's like, hey, listen, this should retrace a little bit. Maybe we get a little bit more dollar strength coming in, right? If that dollar strength comes in, yeah, it should go back up into the middle. But the question is really, can we get through this 92 before, again, our session is closed and everybody's going to, the Asian session resets and then we get the Europeans moving again. And if you look at this one, here's the European Open. What did this do? The European market drove it straight up and then our market drove it straight down again. Question is that going to be the same battle we have tomorrow as well? Right? Maybe we just kind of meander around here. Asian session drives us up and then US session drives us right back down again. It's highly possible, right? But right now, I wouldn't, with this level, there's just not a whole lot there. And even the other direction, I would say probably more this is what I'd be using. And this would obviously be green, right? I think that's the next decent level test. Right here, 91.71. Okay. This we'll just leave. It's not a target anymore. We're not going to mess with that. All right, there we go. Actually, I could take this. You can see, look, hit here and then hit again and then found buyers and punch through. So we're just going to remove it. Dollar yen. So dollar yen, I've left this on there. And again, when we're talking about the basing, you can see basing here, basing right below. It touched it again, touched it again. That's why these levels are there. I think the next, I think this is the level here at 111. I think is important to kind of keep on our radar. Downside, again, we're kind of going through this middle range here. You can see we have been more short focused because we are high, but unfortunately the entries have been hard. Missed the entry, missed the entry. This one you could have potentially gotten it had you shrunk this one down and said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna readjust. I'm gonna change it." It's a session open here at 8:30. We hit it and we dropped, but again, it was kind of bottled in. That would have been my one fear on this one. I really think right now we either go up or we go down, and it's really we need to show some patience for here or here. I think either level you can see all the U.S. based news in this one. I think that's really where you need to take it. I think there are better opportunities. There's closer levels. That's what I would say. Grab. Don't force the dollar yen right now. Is kind of what I'm feeling. All right, going across and let's go across into oil. Now, oil, right? Interesting that we talked about a level here, and you can see at 9:30 at the open is when we tagged that level. We mentioned getting short, and again, you guys can see that there was a knockout bracket sitting there at 74 that we mentioned. This one gave you about 20 cents worth of risk, and it's moved now about what, a dollar to the downside at this point. Um, let me make sure my radar is right, but you can see right now we are kind of wedged in. All right. And again, that 8:30 candle is kind of where the split is. Typically, we do it off the bottom, but you can see that we mentioned again. Todd was like, "Oh, is it going to be a big little today?" I said, "No, probably more." We tend to see the mirror versus big. I mean, well, it'll a big European session tends to turn into the big U.S. session, and most times it typically retraces back again. And again, this one kind of pushed up. I could have made it a little bit bigger, but all I saw was kind of a push back down again as this one kind of dissipates. Particularly with that knockout bracket right there. And again, we had a decent level of basing, strong push down, and again, impulse correction, impulse down. And you can see this is a big, and I can move it. It's continuing to drop down, and I wouldn't be surprised again, just like we had this little yellow box here. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the next area down south where we need to kind of talk about, you know, not only taking profit, but see if that is the next kind of base and kind of push higher. Because again, decent one level base in here, a little bit ahead over here, but it's nice when we kind of see those things. So definitely watch out tomorrow. And again, look for a little big scenario tomorrow. If we have a big, look for a retracement back again. The last time we had that, you can see this is a big little here. Um, Looking for something like this tomorrow if we have it, right? And again, big, little big. This was a decent big, but again, the decent big always gets retraced, right? Decent, retraced, decent, retraced, decent, held, big, little big, little big, little big, little big, even, little big, little. There you go. All right. So you can see a lot of the movement, a lot of movement up, retraced. A lot of movement up, retraced. A lot of movement down, retraced. A lot of movement down, retraced. A lot of movement up, retraced. A lot of movement up, retraced. So you're seeing the same pattern happen again and again and again and again and again and again in oil. And if you don't know where your knockout brackets are, if you're not, using the Nadex platform, make sure you mark them off. Okay, but I think this one continues to come down, and today probably at 72.50 or below. Gold. So look at that. Yeah, there's a knockout down here at 1743. Talked about it coming down. I really wanted to hit 1746, and all it did was pull right back up into that same zone. And you can see it's now basing sideways. And what is it doing? It's basing sideways in the 1760, the kind of bottom of that range. I always hate when this happens. You're like, oh God, it's so close. Like it missed it by like $4. It's like just go down, go down. And we talked about how important that move up was. And again, this was the 8:30 this morning open, right? We hit a level. We had talked about that level. We hit it, then we were looking for a break of it, and you can see it broke all the way back down again earlier today. And we talked about this move. Now, I'm going to draw this for you, right? Some people may have seen this and said, well, we didn't get our 1 to 3. It's like, no, we got a 1 to 2. But understand, this is an $11 move, right? That is an $11 move on this chart. Why is that important? An $11 move is a 4-hour ATR move, okay? Expecting something to move more than a 4-hour ATR is typically asking a lot, right? I mean, you can get a daily ATR, but then it's, you're expecting it to retrace immediately, right? Well, if you look at this, look how far it came down. With the break, right? There's the break. You can see that it came down right to that $11 move. And then there was the retracement right back up into the area. So there was a trade set up in here if you're able to grab it. Again, I like these little measured moves, particularly when they're based off the 4-hour ATRs. At this point, I would kind of expect it to kind of base sideways and probably roll a little bit down. But I do like the fact that these are higher lows here. Again, that typically signifies that we still have some buyers in that area. So, this long, I would say later in the week, maybe the 1746 comes back into play. We had it there. There was a knockout there. Again, once it started the retrace, when you had the touch here at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock was the true reversal. That's where the new higher low was put in, and we rallied a bit higher. I think if we can get back up, I do think there's probably another short that I'd be willing to step into up here at 1775. It was a decent area, so look to grab that later. And again, this was a 8 a.m. kind of retouch off of a level that was formed in the European session. Silver's a little choppier, and you can see this is a level we talked about forever, 25.49. It's been down there forever. You can see we touched it today exactly at 9 o'clock and then rallied off of it. I think this one is probably the same scenario. Probably coming up 2, 3. Probably up in this area. I think that's probably where we get another short. Oops. No, I'm not trying to delete the candles. Let's see. 3 o'clock right here. Oops. Right there. Right there. If we can tag right there, I'd be looking to get short. That is the European Open. Okay. If we roll, again, like I said, I think 25.50. Again, nice, decent number. That's where we hit today, this morning. And again, that's an old level. Go check it out. Yeah, I think if we can get over to here, I think that's decent. Downside, I think the next time it's going to have more problems. I bet you. I wouldn't be surprised if it really starts to bounce on this level now, the 25.50. I don't know. I just think we have 6 months for this to be $100 because all the red traders said it would be $100 by the end of the year. Yeah. So yeah, silver, not much more we can do. If you caught this one this morning, awesome job. Again, it's a level that we've had out there. It's a 34-cent riser. Silver is a little bit more finicky. So yeah, watch that one. But I still think we stay in this sideways pattern. This one, unfortunately, did not really break out of its levels top and bottom. But 26.33, 25.50 on the downside. All right, and let me just check it real quick. Yeah, natural gas has pulled back a little bit, but look at this move. Here's the European session straight up, and again, I should probably mark it here too. There's your 3 o'clock. There's kind of your 8:30. Right, it would be, where's the spike? Right there, right? There's your European move, and then again, it's doing the same thing, right? It ran into some, again, I don't have as much on this one, but there's your scenario. But look at that, straight up, and you'll never believe it, guys. Guess what time it changed? Guess what time this peak is right here. You'll never guess. Not in 8 million years. 10:30. So there's that 10-10-30 reversal that we talk about all the time. Profit taking from the European session, rollover, and crash. So natural gas is there as well. All right, with that said, it is 1:03 in the afternoon. So, yeah, we've pushed through. Actually, this is not true. I should probably change this right now. We are not going to be on next week. We are actually off for 1 week. Where is it? I should change this right now. This is going to have to be changed to, wow, I can't believe I'm going to type this in there.
The 13th.
13th. There we go. There you go. I was trying to change it on the other slide. Try to get fancy on you. Tuesday the 13th. Yeah, next week we are definitely off. Taking a week to recharge the batteries. Putting together. I can tell you this, guys. I'm putting together a new deck. It's a special deck for the next Education Summit. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now. It's got lots of magic, lots of crystal balls. I'm going to be wearing my robe and wizard hat to do that one. Very excited to put this one together. I haven't done this one for this group yet. Actually, I've done it once, but not for this group. Going to be fun as soon as you guys see it. Make sure you get signed up for it. You don't want to miss the next one. So for me, Tuesday, July 13th. And again, August is going to be the next Education Summit. It's going to be good stuff. With that said, I'm out of here. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning if you guys catch the Nadex broadcast on YouTube. Take care.